Hello.
Sorry.
Let's try that again.
Try it again.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Second Button Podcast. I'm Andrew, and this is
Brian. So we're gonna do something a little different today.
not season 3, episode 1. We're gonna say
No, we'll do that next time. I think something that I think we've been talking about probably since we kind of first started is like, oh, let's do kind of like a bonus in between episode of topics around Seinfeld, because I'm like, we kind of had some that we've been like kind of going back and forth. I'm like, might as well. Perfect time in between seasons, so we might do it. I don't know, every other season. Maybe we do like one of these episodes. We're still figuring out the format of the show.
Yeah,
we're like 20 episodes in.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there, but yeah. So expect next week that we'll get back to back to the show, back to the episode.
And we've been off schedule a little bit, but you know,
it's
not like you guys are paying us.
Yeah. Where's the show?
Yeah.
I think I don't know where I got the hair. I was like, saw like top 50 or top. It was like I think the top 100 like Seinfeld podcast, and I was scrolling through. We're definitely not on there.
No, we'll have to get to work on that.
And then some podcasts who were just like, I think I talked about it. It's like the Louis J. Gomez. He's a comedian and a podcaster. He started, I think, during COVID. I think Gomez watches Seinfeld or whatever. Him and his sister. His sister has never seen it. And they did like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think he was trying during the beginning of COVID when people were trying to find like any way to try and make money. He's like, okay, what if I did this and then I did a Patreon with that, and people can join and get an extra. If enough people join it, that's a revenue serve. And they'll do Twitch and all these things that he started. Just he stopped.
That feels like work.
Yeah, like even just like doing Twitch. He's like, I'm gonna do. No, I stopped doing that.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. We both knew there's a lot into it. This is my first actual my own, but I've been involved with. Knew you for a couple of years and knew how to work with. So we're both doing 2 podcasts that we do the actual production on, and then I got sick, and you got sick, and I stayed sick. And then you got a different position at your job, and I got a different position at my job, and a lot of stuff going on. So,
I think, if we do, if we missed like a week, we're just like a week behind. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's behind the scenes of the podcast, like fun stuff, right?
We'll start a Patreon if you guys have trouble with it, and maybe $10 for the first year. If you start paying us, we'll be on time.
Yeah. Pay us and we'll do this free podcast.
Yeah, we'll do good.
You get nothing else.
Yeah.
But anyways,
we put your name on the screen on YouTube. We can put your name right on the bottom there.
Yeah. You get your name not even read. It just
we're not reading nothing.
It needs to scroll by so fast. It's like it's like on The Simpsons where like I think Bart, I think he helped out on the Krusty show. And then his name was like the credits are like super fast. You can't see me pauses. He's like, see, that's my name right there. But I got a couple Seinfeld topics here. So the first one I thought was like a pretty good one, although not to toot my own horn here. But okay, so say you have a friend who has never seen Seinfeld before, not a damn episode, kind of like okay. But they are willing, and it's like, okay, I want to check out the show. What's, maybe they're like, okay, I'm only going to watch 1 episode. Wow me. Yeah. What's the one that you show them? What's like, it could be your favorite, but it's like, think about it. It's like, okay, somebody who's never seen the show. Are they going to get all the jokes? Mm-hmm. Or what's the quintessential kind of episode?
I think... Because you have to have,
cheat because I'm probably gonna have several.
Yeah, but the what you'd want is to have the 4 main characters involved. Yeah, and have it fun. It can't be too deep. It can't be too complex, and you don't really need to know the history of the characters, or they're not going to get it. Mm-hmm. So that's how you have to start your decision making. Brian dropped this on me 2 minutes ago before we started the episode, so I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I'm like, I wrote that. I have my notes, but I didn't even think of an episode. Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of like the more iconic scenes or episodes, I would say. Mm-hmm. Maybe the one where Elaine, she is working, or she, she's not working. She goes into like an apartment building so that she can get Chinese food delivered. So she creates the janitor closet. So she creates a like 1Q or whatever, like her a fake apartment, so that she can get Chinese food delivered. And then because they wouldn't deliver on her block because she's outside of the radius just by a block,
area code or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, because it has Kramer, he adopts a highway in that episode.
Up the road here, there's a sign, and it's an adopt the highway sign, and the thing is falling apart. And I want to stop and get a picture, but every time I pull up, there's a car coming up behind me. It's just
yeah.
But someday when there's no other traffic, like when I'm going to work for 6 a.m. or something, I'm going to stop and take a picture. We'll put it on Instagram. Yeah. The adopt a highway.
Kramer's adopt a highway where he like has a mile, so he cleans it up and he's like just fixing the signs and stuff like that. So he has his own thing going on. And then Elaine, she ends up becoming like the janitor at the apartment building because she gets bullied. Some lady's like, you got to clean up that basement. And Elaine's like, oh, because I'm the janitor. He's like, don't get smart with me. And so she essentially gets bullied into being the janitor. So she's cleaning up. And then all 4 of them have a funny story in that one.
And so she ties in with Kramer with the paint thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Newman's in this one. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then George, he gets his keys stuck in a pothole that gets covered up with asphalt.
And that's going to be a difference when we do ours, because apparently on the Netflix episode, unless they changed it, the way they did the aspect ratio, you can't see the pothole on the screen.
Well, I don't remember.
But you can on the DVD, apparently. We'll find it when we get there.
Okay, when we get there.
Come back in 3 years and I'll let you know.
So George's keys, he has like a keychain. I think it's somebody from, Yankees announcer.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so it, like he knows where they are and it's like asphalt over it. So he's like, my keys are in there. So like house keys, car keys and stuff like that. So there's a lot of jokes in there about like, well, you don't have a spare? I'm like, some of those keys say do not duplicate. And they just like laugh at him like, just do it anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then Kramer has his adopt a highway thing. And then Jerry also has, he drops his girlfriend's toothbrush in the toilet.
Yes. That's
and then he's like, oh God. And he picks it up, sets it down. And then he's like, he washes his hands right away. And then as soon as he like turns around, he sees his girlfriend brushing her teeth with that same toothbrush. And he's like, so the whole episode, he's dealing with that of like not wanting to kiss her or tell her or whatever. And then Elaine is like cleaning up trash as like a janitor. And they kind of have like a thing where they all, what is it? Her and George have a scene where she's like walking with like paint cans and like a dirty old rug. She's all like has marked up and everything. She's all dirty. And George gets a hold of, was it jackhammer? Yeah. And he's dressed up like, like a construction worker. He's got the hard hat on. He's going to like get his keys out of the pothole. And so all this is going on. And it ties in really, really, really well. I don't remember what season. I think that's probably definitely a later season.
Yeah.
But it's like 4 complete or separate stories that a lot of them, like, not all of them interact with each other. But
they
at least one interacts with the other.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, Elaine's garbage in her janitor closet has paint thinner to give to Kramer for his highway that he's going to make wide lanes.
Season 8, episode 16. So it's
it's definitely later.
Yeah, near the end. Yeah.
So he fucks up his highway by, like painting over. Yeah, instead of so four lanes go into 2. He's like, yeah, that way you have luxury wide lanes. It's like being in first class. So
I think ever since, if I'm on a highway that just got repaved and they didn't put the lines yet, there's no one else like beside me, I swerve the whole way. I'm like, look, the wide lanes.
Yeah. So that's him and Elaine, and then George and Jerry have their interaction where George is He's jackhammering away. He has no idea what he's doing. He just wants to get his keys out of there. He ends up hitting a water main. And then, Jerry's made up with his girlfriend. It's at the end of the episode. And her toilet just explodes. And she's covered in toilet water. And Jerry's like, have a nice life. He's like, I can't deal with this woman and her toilet issues. Yeah. So he's like, I grew up. I'm a better man now. And it's like, no, he's not. He's just as shitty as he ever was. And then Kramer's highway. He's trying to get rid of. He covered up the lines with black paint, and he's trying to get the black paint off. He spills all this paint thinner all over, highly flammable paint thinner all over his highway. And Elaine had dropped like an old sewing machine, fell out of her trunk.
Oh yeah,
as she was swerving down Kramer's luxury, highway. Yeah. She's like, wide lanes, yeah, and then just falls out. And then now the highway is covered in flammable paint thinner. It's got this old metal sewing machine, and then Newman comes at the very end, and he's singing, and I think his truck is full of fish because he does it on the weekend. So his mail truck is delivering fish, and he catches on the sewing machine and just dragging, and sparks are flying underneath his mail truck. Goes over the flammable paint thinner, and then he lights up like he's in hell. And it's the funniest thing because it's all four of them have their own funny little stories and little things going on, and some of them weave into each other and have reactions to the other. And then Newman just comes in and says he just has a funny little scene. So you have one of your, I think a major recurring character. So I think that would be a good episode. Like even if you don't know who Newman is, he's funny because he's singing, and he's just like, he's like, even
if he was just a bit part for that one episode, it would still add to.
Even if it was, you're like, I don't get who this guy is. Like, he's just screaming. He's once, twice, 3 times a lady, just a cappella singing, and then he goes, flames go all over the place. You're like, oh, the humanity. He's got just, even if you don't know who he is, there's not the whole, hello, Jerry. I don't even think they have that, interaction between him. You just get the idea. This could be just a character that you don't know. He never comes up again.
Yeah.
And he has a funny, easy to digest part. I'm like, to me, I think that's probably one of the easiest. I don't know. And that one kind of came to, I just was thinking like an episode where all 4 of them have a major impact.
I was thinking the same. I'm thinking the contest.
Yeah.
It's a relatable thing. Everyone's aware of the concept of masturbation.
And the thing is, they never once say anything about like masturbating, jacking off, or whatever. And it's always just like, I think the closest I was there, Glamour magazine. Yeah. They're just insinuated the whole time. I think it's just George's mother. I guess, we'll definitely cover that episode, but it's like George's mother catches George masturbating at her house to a magazine, Glamour. And she faints, and he takes her to the hospital. So, says, did you run over there and catch her? I'm like, or did you zip up? Oh, it's like, you zipped up. I'm like, I couldn't run over there the way I was.
That'd be good. That you get a little tie-in of a bit of everything, a bit of each character, how they interact with each other. Yeah,
no, that's totally like, to me. I'm like, you could I'll probably say any of them. I'm like, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're all good. That's the thing.
One that is great, but I think we talked about it when we covered it, is the restaurant one. But there's no Kramer.
Thinking that.
Like, that wouldn't be good because I'm like, you got to have the Kramer, the K-Man.
Yeah, there's no Kramer. I thought it popped in my head. I was like, the Chinese restaurant. And I thought there's no Kramer.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, the contest one, because it does involve all 3 of them, or sorry, all 4 of them and their interactions. And even like, Elaine, they're kind of like, okay, I want to join this too. I'm like, it's like, you got to give us odds.
Yeah. But even just to involve the female in that conversation in a show that was based in the 90s. That's I
Mhm.
don't know if it's groundbreaking, but it was definitely not a thing that would have happened on other shows.
It's like, it's different for a woman. It's like shaving. She's like, I shave my legs, and he's like, not every day. Kramer.
If you are watching YouTube, you'll see I haven't shaved in a while.
Yeah. I think that's a great one because it also shows through the contest like their different, I don't know, trials or whatever of like making them want to jerk off. And Kramer has a good character that they call it. And it's like, he says, oh yeah, no, I want in on this. And like, Jerry's like, Kramer, you'll be out before we get the check. They're at Monk's. They treat him like he's just a dumb animal. Like he just has to keep, or like they refer to it when he's, he gets his portrait, the Kramer portrait, and like he's only like out to get fulfill his basic urges. He's just, and then in the episode, he's spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
He is out first and really quick. Because like they see like a sexy naked woman like across the apartment complex.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if she knows that where we can see her. Maybe she does want us to know. She doesn't care. And then Kramer's like looking. He leaves. It comes back, slams money on the table. All right, I'm out.
Like immediately.
Like he just took care of business really quick, and that's funny because that's a masturbation joke that they can just make all these without just nail on the head. So I feel like a lot of comedy now, it's like the sex, here's say dirty words, and it's like whereas this was something that they could insinuate a bunch of times.
I feel like if this was made today, they would use as many dirty ways to say it, and that would be the comedy. It just wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
didn't Always Sunny do this scene? Didn't they have like a dream sequence on Always Sunny where they did this episode of Seinfeld?
I like that show. I haven't watched it. Like, I watched seasons like 1 through 4 because I think that was like in the heyday of DVDs,
Yeah.
Where like I have them on DVD, so I watched them and I'm like, I really liked it. And then, I just kind of like, I don't know if Joe ever listens to this. It's a good show. I just haven't followed up or kept up on it.
I'm sure Joe listens to us while he's driving down the highway, 400 miles each way uphill in the snow in Florida with his windows down and his AC up.
He hears the part that I don't religiously watch. It's Always Sunny. Oh, the humanity. But yeah, no, I mean, I bet that that'd be good. But it's an iconic scene or episode for sure. So that might be even better than the Adopt a Highway episode.
Yeah, they're all so good. They're all so good. Except for you couldn't play like the finale. That one. We'll strike that one off the list. You couldn't play the finale for the first time to somebody because it wouldn't. It wasn't great for people that were fans of the shows.
Well, there's a lot of them that
it's just a clip show.
Yeah, they had several clip episodes.
Yeah,
I think for the 100th episode, it's like, which I guess is fine, but like.
I feel like that was an NBC push, not really a Jerry push. It was or Dave push. It was
well, because it'd be network. Like clip shows are kind of like they have to be so in context.
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously that's not one I would suggest to somebody. But I guess an early one that we have covered probably would be the statue one, because I feel like I guess all of them have their own little parts.
Yeah. And you kind of get to know their personalities. There's
pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk and stuff too to learn their personality. So yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, there was. Well, I mean, you get who George is. He's definitely like comes alive in season 2, like as George. And then, but Kyle sent me like a little clip of Jason Alexander on the Howard Stern show. And he was kind of going over it. I guess he's like he didn't really pick up steam or really get the character of George until like he realized that George is Larry David.
Yeah,
because he was like, he's like, oh, first I was trying to play, and you can almost see it in the first season. He's like, I was trying to play George as Woody Allen. Like I was trying to channel Woody Allen until like he realized, I'm like, because they were reading a scene and kind of doing an episode. He said he couldn't remember, but I feel like you had a tidbit on it. I don't. Maybe it was the old switcheroo or whatever, the one where he poisons or gives the guy like a Mickey.
Yeah.
I think it may have been that one. But he says like nobody, like he was saying to Larry, he's like, nobody would do this. This is not real. Nobody would act like that. Nobody would do this type of thing. He's like, it's hard to believe like that, this character would. And Larry's like, well, what do you mean? I mean, I did that. This was it happened. This is a story that actually happened to me, and I acted that way. And then that's when it clicked with Jason Alexander. He's like, oh, this is Larry. This character is Larry David. So he's like, he started like, and ever since then, I kind of just watched him and how he acted and what he did and how he like spoke to people. I was like, and then he started channeling George. So I feel like George kind of came alive in season 2 when he realized, or Jason Alexander realized, I'm like, oh, George is just Larry David.
Yeah.
And so,
and then there's clips from Curb that it's George trying to teach Larry how to play George. It's Jason teaching Larry how to play George.
Yeah.
And and George is just a better Larry than Larry.
Yeah, than Larry. And he's less of an asshole than Larry David. But I mean, Curb's a good one too. I feel like eventually once we finish, I mean, the Seinfeld saga, maybe we could do Curb.
Yeah.
Keep the podcast going. But anyways, so that episode with the statue was kind of one where George, he's neurotic. He's kind of selfish in a way. No, I mean, he wants the statue. He wants that fucking statue. He knows that guy stole it, and then he's not selfish, but because he's trying to get it for his mom to like make up for breaking that statue. And then, but he's so blinded by like getting that statue that he like confronts and yells at the guy and just tees off on him. And then the guy stands up and just like towers over George, and George just slinks back to sitting down. So he explodes and he's angry and he's telling the guy off, and then as soon as there's any pushback, George
slinks away.
Guess you're right. Yeah, exactly. Any type of confrontation or whatever, he cowers, he crumples. And I'm like, that shows that shows George. And then Elaine, she kind of is sticking up for herself against Rava, the writer or whatever. So Elaine she really wants something in for her job, but she's not really. She can, dig in her heels and say like, okay, I'm not putting up with your bullshit anymore. And then she's like, fine, I'll go back to just proofreading a cookbook instead of having a career path that I want.
Yeah.
And Jerry's kind of down the middle. He's like not providing too much. He does. He kind of some comic relief obviously for the episode, but he's not wavering too much. He's like, somebody stole something from me, but it wasn't mine, so I kind of don't care that much.
Yeah, he's there for. He understands.
Yeah. He understands. He kind of sticks up for George, and he kind of is like feels slighted a little bit, but it's also like, I don't have much of a dog in this fight. Yeah. So he kind of like, whatever. So that's definitely Jerry's character. And then Kramer, the fact that he's like a ride or die friend, even though he fucks him over so much throughout the series, so much. He's almost the one that, is fucking everybody over.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of takes it on law into his own hands. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to break the law for the good of the people. So Kramer gets the statue back, and then he fucks over George again by breaking it. So to me, I'm like, they all have their own like parts. I think Elaine isn't as strong of a character in that as she is later on, but she does have she does shine a little bit.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good episode too. So maybe something, not as gnarly as some of the later episodes, because the later episodes definitely they get wild, and they definitely rely on like the character funniness parts.
Yeah. It starts off with more realistic situations. And it stays realistic to an extent, but it definitely... They definitely push the envelope a little further as the seasons go on. So.
Yeah, definitely the Frogger scene for me. It's hilarious, but it doesn't. So I don't remember which episode it was, but it was definitely later on. I can't say definitely.
Definitively.
Where George, like, he had a high score on a Frogger machine back in high school at some Italian restaurant that they used to go to after school. And he wants to buy the Frogger machine because it's like a big accomplishment of his.
Yeah, the high score on it.
And because he's like, okay, well, if it turns off, it's going to erase all the memory of the game, which I don't think it would.
I think it would have then.
Well, I don't know. Think about it, because like this must have been a Reddit thing, or maybe you mentioned it when I don't know if we talked about this episode or mentioning it. Anyways, so the idea with that Frogger thing, like, if the power goes out, then it erases all the high scores and stuff like that. It resets. Well, do you think there was never a blackout in New York in the 20 years since they played in high school?
That's true.
Or like, and then how did they get it hooked up to an external battery? Because you would have had to unplug it at some point, right?
Really unrealistic.
Yeah.
This was actually 2 episodes apart from the pothole episode.
They're 2 episodes for that blunder.
They must have been in the streets like, let's film another thing on the street.
Yeah. Well, we got it. Let's use it for a scene.
Yeah.
But that was one thing. Yeah. So Kramer's friends or whatever were able to hook it up to, external power.
Yeah.
A battery, so that it didn't lose its, and I'm like, it's a funny scene where George is like, oh, he needs to cross a busy street to get.
Yeah, and then he's like doing Frogger himself to get across the street.
Because he's like, oh no, we're running out of power. It's like, how much? I'm like, oh, we got like 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, I got to go plug it in somewhere. But then again, how is he going to plug it into an outlet if it's plugged to the battery? Yeah. It's like, if you do it fast enough, there's the thing. It's like, oh, well, I guess we didn't lose power.
Yeah. It's just a brownout.
Yeah. So that's one I didn't. It's obviously it's a funny scene where it's like it's top down and George going across the street and dodging cars and stuff like that, like in Frogger, the old school video game.
Yeah,
but
you definitely wouldn't show that to someone for their first episode, because I was like, this is fucking dumb.
Yeah, you're like, well, there's definitely like little like plot holes of like, I don't think anybody cares, but for me, I'm like, the power must have gone out sometime. So yeah, and so that's a funny scene. That's probably pretty unrealistic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other episodes that you think would be a?
I without listing every episode in the entire series.
Yeah.
I think my answer is the contest.
The contest. Definitely. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I also had topics, or a topic relating to like the bosses of the series.
Yeah.
I think they're side characters and sometimes recurring characters, and I don't know if we want to do like which one would you rather work for or who's your least favorite, but I kind of was like thinking like, think of like there's Mr. Pitt, there's Kruger smoothing, there's Steinbrenner. He's only in one episode, but Duncan, so it's like Lois Lane's or Lois's boss.
Yeah.
And Littman, he's kind of a recurring boss. But Peterman.
I think if you wanted the most interesting conversations at work with your boss, I'd say Peterman. If you wanted someone to get their shit done, it would be Dalrymple. And if you just wanted someone to take care of you like a grandpa, Pitt. There's my top 3.
I think Steinbrenner is probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's
because it's
giving Larry David a chance.
It's Larry David. Yeah. Whoa! He's just a cartoon character.
Yeah. He's so over the top. He's like he's the most over the top, I think, character. And
I think that is where it gets like it's another unrealistic thing, but it's like He is probably one of the worst bosses. Or maybe Kruger's the worst one. But yeah, it's like, how does he get anything done? He's kind of just like I think of like the calzone episode where he's like, George, I get the same lunch for 20 years, and it's like, I think I'm getting these calzones, and so George has to get the eggplant calzone, and then George gets kicked out or banned from like the Italian restaurant that he goes to.
Yeah.
So it would be like, what I guess it starts out where George, he gets eggplant calzone for lunch. George Steinbrenner comes in. He likes the smell of it, likes the taste of it. He's like, you got to get me one.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I've been having lunch with George Steinbrenner in his office every day. Just get a couple of the calzones, and then he's like, oh, I'm able to like kind of have more influence on it, and like probably better for my career and stuff like that. And then George gets banned from the Italian restaurant because he puts in a tip, but the guy's back, he turns his back, and so he didn't see it. So George wants to take his tip out and put it back in when the guy can see it, because he wants to get credit for leaving a tip.
You want to be known for leaving a tip.
But the guy sees him taking the dollar or whatever out of the tip jar and thinks that George is stealing tips. And he's like, you're never allowed back in here, kind of thing. And he's like, and George is like, oh shit, like there goes my my ticket.
Yeah.
And he was trying to like convince Steinbrenner to get different lunch. Like, nope, George, it's a eggplant calzone for me. We got to do that every day for lunch. So it's just ridiculous. So anyways, and then Kramer was his part of the story or whatever. He's like, he likes to get his clothes just out of the wash, or out of the dryer, because they're nice and warm, toasty. And he's like, oh, well, the oven, that seems, a pizza oven seems a pretty good idea. He's like, can you throw my clothes in there? Here, throw my shirt and jacket or whatever in there. And the guy torches, and ruins Kramer's clothes. Or I think it just maybe his jacket. Ruins Kramer's jacket. And so there, he goes to the office at Yankees, gives George the calzones because he was going to go in George's place. And he's like, see, they ruined my jacket. And then, they ruined his jacket, and he wasn't able to. This is now me just remembering episodes poorly. I'm like, oh, wait, no, that didn't happen. But anyways, the funny scene here is where he has his ruined jacket, and he throws it in a trash bin at George's office.
Yeah.
And that's where George Steinbrenner smells. He's like, oh, there's calzone in here, because his jacket smells like pizza calzone. So he's running around the office like a dog trying to hunt down. He's like the dumbest boss. He's like, Georgie, where's that calzone? I can smell it in here. George, you holding out on me? And then the one where it's like George Costanza is sleeping in his desk, like a little compartment, and then Steinbrenner comes into his office because he's trying to he's like, George, I have this song stuck in my head. I need to know who it is. So it's not even work related. It's like, heartbreaker, love taker, gonna take it out with me. Yeah. It's like he needs to know who made that song. Yeah. So he's just sitting in George's office waiting for him, but George is sleeping in his desk. He's like, I need Steinbrenner's not leaving. I need him out of here. So George calls Jerry to just call in a bomb threat. A bomb threat? Yeah. So that way Steinbrenner would leave, because it's a bomb at the stadium or whatever. Yeah. And Steinbrenner says, oh, this is what we need to do, is go under a desk. So that's when he sees George hiding under there. Doesn't say why were you under your desk? He's like, you already knew that we were gonna get bombed. He's like, do you know how scared I was when I and in this time he had his cousin or his nieces and nephews there, or grandchildren. And he's like, oh, hurry, everybody get under the desk. And George is already under there. He's like, you know how worried I was when I realized there wasn't any room for me and my babies? It's just the dumbest delivery. Yeah.
And everything. Yeah.
So he never got mad at George for sleeping. He got mad at George because there wasn't room for this fake bomb threat under his desk. So I'm describing it terribly, but he is the top funniest.
If you guys want a better breakdown, stay tuned for a couple seasons.
Yeah, when we finally get there, he's my favorite boss.
He is funny. This is where it gets a little unrealistic and hilarious.
Oh yeah,
no,
it gets totally over exaggerated. He, like I said, he's a fucking cartoon character.
Yeah.
I do, he's in one episode, but it's Duncan, so he's none of the main character's boss, but he's a boss of Jerry's girlfriend, Lois. And in that episode, him and Jerry in high school had like I don't know, like a rivalry, and so he meets them as adults, and it's because Jerry won a race and beat Duncan in a foot race, and then they challenge each other again, and at the end of the episode, Jerry, him and Duncan, like a whole bunch of people are spectating this foot race, and they even get their old coach from back in high school to officiate the whole thing. And so Jerry, spoilers, but Jerry wins. Yeah. And then Duncan's all pissed off, but is playing this like epic Superman music as they're like, "Yay, Jerry won! He beat the bad guy, Duncan." Da, 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 da. He's like the villain of the episode because he's the boss and he's the asshole.
It's like the Lex Luthor of the.
Yeah, but it's like so slow mo of like everybody cheering Jerry on. Jerry's running to him to congratulate him, and then Duncan's in there just yelling and giving the business to the coach, and the coach is like, "Well, you lost." Da, da, da. And then slow mo, he two-hand pushes like Elaine style, but pushes the shit out of the coach. That little scene is hilarious because a grown man pushing an older man just probably down to the ground because he lost a race, and pushes him out of the frame of the shot. And then, like, to me, I'm like, he's got to be probably one of the biggest assholes to work for, but he's hilarious because he loses and he acts like a child.
Yeah.
So,
used to getting his way.
Yeah, but Mr. Pitt, he's not in it very long, I don't think.
No,
but he
seems to care. Right?
Yeah. And throughout, like, I think it was only maybe one season he was Elaine's boss.
Yeah.
But
season 6.
Yeah. So he's Elaine's boss, and there's like parts where Elaine's on the phone with like a friend or whatever, and he's just interested in their gossip. It's like, so what's going on? So who's upset? And so you're right, he probably does care, but I don't know if it's for good or bad. And he just like Elaine's his assistant, basically, right?
Yeah.
If I remember. And it's like there's an episode where she can't leave work because he has to find the best pair of socks. It's like and she's just going through pairs of socks with him. It's like no, they're too tight. They don't have enough elasticity, and it's just like this is her job, just the shittiest type of job.
I get that. I bought like 6 pairs of socks. There's like Boba Fett, R2D2, like a bunch of different Star Wars ones, like a Monopoly Man. Like there's a pack of different fun socks at Christmas. Yeah, and then I loved them and I wore them out. Like the little heels wore out of them, and I can't find another sock that matches that sock. So I feel
really,
yeah. These weren't just white socks; so they were cool socks. But just the fit and the elasticity and the thickness and everything.
I feel like a grown-up move is something that I'm thinking about here. Is just going and almost, because all my black socks, they're all like gray now, and they're all pilled, or like they like have holes where it's like they're mesh now. But I'm like, well, they're still socks. I mean, they're still good. There's no holes in it yet.
Those are going in shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing with Mr. Pitt too, though. Jerry never met Mr. Pitt. He says after Lane gets fired that he never met Mr. Pitt. Yeah. But there's scenes with Jerry and Mr. Pitt in the same space, but not interacting with each other.
Really?
So maybe when we watch season 6, we'll make a note, keep a tally of how many times we see them around each other that they don't know who each other are. Yeah. We'll make a note of that one.
Is that the one where somebody robs their building. Wasn't like Elaine staying at Mr. Pitt's place or something like that?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah. And then Kramer or George or Jerry or something lets them in. I don't remember, but we'll get there.
Yeah, there's times where they cross each other. They don't know who's who. So yeah.
And then, but the sock thing. I'm thinking about just offboarding all my socks and just buying new packs, just starting fresh.
Just go to Costco and buy a bag and throw everything else away.
That's what I'm thinking. Isn't that like a baller move? I feel like that's like...
I actually end up doing that. I have all Puma socks from Costco. The short and socks.
And then underwear too, just going through that. I'm like, okay, get all fresh pairs.
I did that I kept a few of my favorite pairs, but I bought Saks underwear, which are not cheap. They're like $30 a pair.
Yeah.
But get the little pouch and it holds everything in place and you don't stick.
Yeah. Okay.
Not saying we're looking for a sponsor from Saks underwear, but if you're looking to sponsor a crappy Seinfeld podcast, we'll take some free underwear.
No, we're great.
Yeah.
We're in the probably top 200 podcasts.
Yeah.
I bet.
At least the top 2,000 Seinfeld podcasts.
Exactly.
As I drink my mixed energy, if they want to sponsor us as well.
Yeah.
I'm getting lots of energy here.
See, you're all about the product placement today. I like it. So I was thinking, just ball out, just get all new socks. Just, oh man.
Yeah, I bought like 6 or 8 pairs of these socks, and I was like, and I threw a bunch away.
Yeah, and I think that's a good move. There's now this is where it's dumb with socks. I have these, I believe they're Hanes or whatever, but they are marked kind of like they have like a stripe just kind of on the, I don't know, arch of your foot, where there's red and then there's white, but they're black socks. So you just see that they're black, but what goes inside the shoe. So that red is R for right foot. And then just the white for left. And then I'm like...
White for weft.
And so when you're pairing your socks, because I don't know if you fold them or bunch them together, it makes it so much fucking easier. I love the hell out of these things.
Yeah.
So I probably got them like 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago. I need to buy them again. I need to find them and just get all those. Because to me, I'm like, it makes it so much easier. Because I do have some that are just like, here's some black socks, and like the elasticity of them is just like...
Yeah, because sometimes you wear socks on, then it's like... Later on, like, why does this feel so weird about my baby toe? Because it's like all this extra fabric, because that's usually your big toe side, and it just stretched out in one spot, and there's no way of knowing until you wear them.
And then, they're all stretched out.
We should write our own Seinfeld episode about these friggin' socks.
Yeah, so I need to find these fucking socks again and just get all those. I was thinking about it today. I mean, this is, fun Sunday stuff. I was just doing laundry and then folding them up, and I'm like, I love these Hanes socks. That has a red one and a white one. You pair them. And then, that's a complete pair. Where you have these other ones, you're like, I don't know, I guess these fucking work together. So anyways, this is great. Underwear and socks. But I guess one who he's there for a little bit, and he's funny, but he kind of had like that cartoony introduction and stuff like that, and kind of just a dumbass boss was Kruger.
That's what I was thinking you were going to say. I was like, it sounds like
Kruger smoothing. He just wasn't. Maybe he wasn't in it long enough, or because he was maybe trying to play up the dumb, like Steinbrenner kind of guy, or Mr. Pitt, where they're just kind of clueless. But he was just like he there's little things that he does that are stupid, and that's why George likes working there, because the guy's an idiot. He'll never get fired.
Yeah.
He's like, well, locked myself out of my office. Oh well. Guess I'm going home. I think he says, I locked myself out of my office again. Well, I guess I'm going home.
Kruger seems like a forgettable character to me, but when you think about it, he was there for Festivus.
Yeah.
He was there for the Human Fund. Like some real memorable moments.
Yeah.
He was involved in.
But I don't think he was in it for very long.
No.
And then he was there for the T-Bone episode. And he's also in the one where the George is in the photograph when his family's at the beach.
Yeah,
and he tries to Photoshop himself out, but then he actually photoshops the guy photoshops Kruger out of the photo. So he's in it like some memorable and funny parts, but I just like don't think he makes as big of an impact as some of the other ones.
Well, because he was just a guy. He wasn't like funny. He did funny things, but it was yeah. I think people know what we're trying to say.
You were saying that, and I'm like thinking about it. It's like how it's like this company's falling apart. And George is trying to get him to care about the company, smoothing. It's Kruger Smoothing, and so on the side of the building, the whole thing is falling. Even the name is falling apart. The R fell off Kruger. It just says K Uger. He's like K Uger, huh? Okay. I like that. It sounds like one of the old car homes. K Uger.
I just checked here. He was in 4 episodes. That's it.
That's it. Okay, maybe you know what? Maybe he was in it for so little, but he did actually make a pretty big impact.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, K Uger.
He was in The Strike. That's one with the Human Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Burning, and The Maid, and The Slicer, which is the one where George gets hired.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's only 4 episodes. That's crazy. He's yeah. So maybe he's not as forgettable as I thought, because obviously you remember the guy pretty good. And
he was only
4 episodes. So, yeah.
Did George get fired from Kruger, or did he quit?
I don't remember.
Like some of these things I don't remember. He got fired from the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
How did he get fired from or what caused that? So I know there was that one where he was gonna get offered.
Wasn't sleeping with the maid, the house, the cleaner.
No, that was Pendant Publishing.
Yes, yeah,
yeah. And then, because there were several times where he, I wonder if it really was the end of it, where he got traded to Tyson Chicken.
Oh yeah.
Or Tyler Chicken, I think is what it was. Yeah. So he's like, he got traded over there. Or the one where he went because George was a communist. They sent him to Cuba to talk to. Who was the guy? It was Castro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Fidel Castro is, facing away from the camera. You just see the back of him, and he just rambles on and on like Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
And I like the guy
character
from Tyler Chicken is rambling on and on like Steinbrenner, facing away from the camera.
Yeah.
But he's on the phone, and he's like
bobbing
like a chicken. This is what we do. You trade George to me full time, and then we'll change everything at the Yankee Stadium to chicken instead of pretzels. We chicken twists. Instead of beer, we have alcoholic chicken. It's so stupid.
I think Steinbrenner is a great way that Larry got himself involved more on screen time without being on screen at the same time.
I wonder if he played Steinbrenner, like actually was the actor.
I'm pretty sure it was a different actor that did the motions, and then he just did the voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa! I'm very nervous. It's so stupid. Steinbrenner, yeah, my favorite. I know we go back to it, but I don't know. It was
Lee Bear was the name of the guy that played
the actual actor,
motion. Yeah,
the body. Yeah, I don't know. I think filled up an episode.
Yeah, I think we're there
without even really hitting much. We found out at the end of the episode, without taking notes, I am very bad at recalling what happens in episodes. I'm just like, but I think we can both agree probably Steinbrenner's the most iconic of the bosses.
Yeah, I think we went from saying we like the more realistic people to saying no, it was Steinbrenner. The over the top.
Over the top. That's boss. Not the fact that they just made fun of him. I'm like, I wonder if the actual guy he's probably saw the show. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all.
I think everyone we talk about this episode is dead now too. Well, not Larry David. Steinbrenner's dead. I think
he is.
Yeah, he died 10 years ago.
Oh shit! Shows how much I know.
And I think Mr. Pitt, the actor, died. And I think a lot of these people are gone.
No. R.I.P. in peace.
Ending on a low note.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah. But if you guys want to find us online, find us on Instagram. That seems to be where we're getting the most traction, most kind of interacting with the Seinfeld community. We're on YouTube.
Yep.
We have Twitter. I like Jason Alexander's post once in a while on the Twitter when I get notifications, and I forget that it exists. So, but look for us there. Second Button Cast on Twitter. 2ND Button Cast.
Mm-hmm.
We had a dispatcher one time. I'm going to interrupt this whole outro for a second. At work, and he sent us to pick a patient up in the hospital on the second floor. Mm-hmm. And you could tell he was getting tired, going through the shift, busy. And he goes, it says here the patient is at 2ND, whatever that's supposed to mean. I was like, I think it means second. And he goes, I'm going to have my lunch.
Like,
but yes, Twitter, we're on. It's 2ND, Second Button Cast. And on Instagram and YouTube, just look for the Second Button Podcast and you'll find us there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can find Brian's other podcast, The Tone Jerks.
Yeah. Yep, The Tone Jerks are on YouTube and Instagram as well. And yeah, maybe we can put those links. I don't know. I was like going to say both our other podcasts in the description.
For this episode, since it's a bonus, we'll plug it down in the show notes. Or the end card on YouTube. I've also been putting our separate podcast on there as well.
Oh, nice.
So it comes up like the go to this channel thing.
Yeah. And then check out Andrew's music podcast, The East Coast DNA.
Yes. And that will be in the show notes too.
We'll plug away on this episode, but yeah, check us out, on social media. We'll put all the links in the description, and hopefully you guys like this one. But I mean, next week or next episode, we'll go back to talking about Seinfeld, the episode breakdown. So,
and maybe we'll have theme music. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Until then, we'll see you. Bye.
Goodbye now.